hungry, humble, smart. Everyone can understand those three words. Growth to me is purposeful, but it's not necessary. If you don't want to be vested in people, don't be a leader. Big companies can be very unhealthy. The harder you work, the richer I get. That's the truth.
This is the real talk on what's working, what's failing, and what it takes to win in the restaurant industry. Welcome to Pillar Mindset.
Welcome back to Pillar Mindset. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're talking about evaluations and career paths. I think it's an integral part of every business, and I think it's very important that we as leaders and we as responsible individuals carry this out in a responsible way. It's a interesting topic, John. I think it gets all of us in a mindset of potentially nerve-wracking. It could be confrontational. It can be vulnerable. You can feel vulnerable during a process like this. But I think that a lot of people immediately correlate evaluations to a report card, right? And so it's that almost like, what did I get, right? I've worked very hard. I would say I'm very proud of where we're at, but I've worked very hard to try to eliminate that feeling. I really don't think that that's what an evaluation should be. I think it's an opportunity for two leaders, two individuals to come together and to give clarity and to empower growth and to say, this is how I believe you can grow. And that, I think, is very different than the report card feeling, because ultimately what the report card feeling causes is judgment. It's a feeling of judgment. I am being judged by my peer, therefore I don't like this, and it's confrontational, and I'm going to avoid it at all costs, even if it takes years to not have this conversation. Then I feel weird because, oh man, I want a raise and it hasn't been 3 years and my boss isn't doing it, and there's my life sucks, right? Yeah, it's not fun. That is a horrible feeling. Don't wish that upon anybody. We're not having this talk because we do this perfect. We're having this talk because we're learning how to do this better and better and better. And so I love this talk. I'm very passionate about it. I don't feel people should feel judged. I feel that people should feel supported. That's largely why we call our management company a support staff, right? We're here to support people. That's why we talk a lot about empowerment and growth. And so those things are very important to me. And I think where I start with it, but let me pause and just say, do you have any questions or comments to add to that before we get into what we look at here?
No, I think the reframing of the goal of what evaluations are for is kind of the mindset you need to put yourself in before doing it, right? So if the goal is growth and not a report card, I think that's already a huge step.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of probably leaders in a position of evaluations think of it as a report card as well. So not just from the receiver side, but also from the leadership side.
Yeah, it's a very difficult situation, because let me start earlier in the equation, right? We're talking about evaluations. At some point, this person was hired at the company. So that's a very different discussion, but it's important that we bring it up, because if this person, the leader that's evaluating this person, the person getting evaluated, and either of them feel that this person doesn't belong in this company, it was a hiring issue. You hired the wrong person, right? And so a lot of the time it's a one-way street, and the person evaluating the individual is saying, they're just not doing a good enough job. They're just not doing enough. They're not. Wait a second. You're the one that hired them. Like, let's start there first. Did you hire the right person, right? So I want to start there, and I want to come back to how that plays full circle in an employee life cycle, or in just somebody's experience at a company, right? And so in order to avoid that feeling and that sentiment during those talks, you've got to put the effort to try to hire the right people. And I know it's a touchy topic, but I think that we should try to approach this aggressively, because ultimately it's people trying to make decisions for their livelihoods, right? And it is tough. They're tough. There's no way around it. Whether we're making this video or not, these dynamics are not easy to navigate, right? And you're dealing with people, which is a never-ending dynamic, and there's
Always
different
shifting,
always shifting. Well, people have different upbringings, they have different leadership styles, they have different parenting styles, they have different figures in their life, and all of that impacts how they receive information, how they give information, etc. So that's why it's important to have culture. But let's talk about the hiring piece. So you already know where I'm going with this. We talk about it a lot. Ideal team player, we look for 3 qualities. We look for people that are hungry, humble, smart, right? Hungry, humble, smart. Can we pull that up, actually? Do we know who wrote the ideal team player?
Yeah, that was, what was his name? I had that.
I should know. I have several copies and we use it a lot, but ideal team player, I think, has been around probably, if I had to guess.
It was ideal team player, right?
Yeah, I think a decade, probably. And I've leaned into it a lot more just because it's so simple.
Patrick Lencioni?
There you go.
Lencioni? Did I say that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And didn't y'all share it on Pillar Mindset? Right? That's why I was like, man, I feel like I just saw it.
We did just talk about it.
I feel like I'm going to sneeze, so I have to, I'm trying to fight that real quick. But yeah, I think I just recently saw it. But the reason why it resonated with me so well is because hungry, humble, smart. Everyone can understand those 3 words, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually, in such a simple way, very encompassing for a lot of the dynamics at a company and a business, right? And I don't want to belabor the topic. Go read the book, but you can almost visualize, and the way they did it, obviously, was the diaphragms or whatever.
Yeah, and positioning people in different kind of, I guess, it's not. What do you want to call them? Buckets, I guess.
Yeah, buckets or categories or whatever. Okay. Yeah. And it sounds like we're talking about people. We're talking about ourselves too, right? I think you can go through different chapters in your life and feel different things, right? And so you look at it, and the book is very interesting. But again, the simplicity is why it's so effective. If you only have one of those qualities or 2 of those qualities, it talks a lot about what type of personality traits you're going to bring into the company. And so, for example, if you have somebody that's just hungry and smart, that means that person's going to be very capable. They're going to be very ambitious, etc. But they have no humility. Well, they're going to just bulldoze right over everyone. They're going to try to bulldoze. And this person's going to feel it's going to be overwhelming because they have no humility. They have no regulator to work with other people. And so if you have something that's, somebody that's smart and humble, but they're not hungry, that means that they're just
slacker. Yeah,
the lovable slacker, right? There you go. It's somebody that, man, I really like this guy, but they have no ambition, right? So that's why the hungry piece is super important to balance that out. And so I just love the simplicity of the book. I think it's very effective. I have not reread it in a while. We've used it for a long, long time. But really, when we're hiring, yes, we go through a 3-interview process. We ask people to submit videos, etc. But at the core, that's literally what we're looking at, is hungry, humble, smart. And so I would advise everybody, if you're looking for something simple to bite down on and say, what should I look for in people when I'm bringing them on board, so that when I get to my evaluations, I'm not, every time we evaluate each other, we're wondering if this is the right fit. It's like, you should have done that in the hiring process, right? The evaluation process is about growth. So step 1, hire the right people, right? The next item I want to talk about is really important to me. We say this a lot at our company, and I mean it genuinely. Just as much as we hire people, we expect people to hire us. Mm-hmm. So what does that mean in layman's terms? It means that if I'm the individual making the hiring and I say, you're a right fit, come on board, that individual has to make a decision every day to say, this is where I want to work, and I want to work hard for this company because I'm hiring them just as much as they're hiring me. And I think that subtle dynamic is such a big shift for people. There's too many times where it falls into a one-way kind of leverage monster approach, right? And I think you can get away with it a lot but it's going to impact your business, and it's also just not the right thing to do. People sometimes put this we call it sheriff syndrome, or like badge syndrome. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen that, but you give someone a responsibility, and then all of a sudden they run with it, right? And it's just overkill. Perhaps that person needs a little coaching and mentoring to not do that, right? But you have a responsibility, but you have a responsibility, one, to build the company as well as hire the right people, so that when you hire the right people, they feel like they want to work in the company. And so you hire them just as much as they hire you. And I think that's something that's very important. Something that's on the back end of evaluations, that's a very similar topic. That's at the front end, right? When we're recruiting and we're hiring, we tell people that all the time. You literally have to, like, I literally, so it depends who you're speaking to, right? Because there's different incentives, people intake information differently, et cetera. But if you're speaking to an entry level individual that's 16 years old, it's their first job, you're not going to tell them all of this information.
You should
right?
expect that rotation.
Yeah, exactly, right? And they have different interests than somebody that's looking for
a career opportunity.
Yeah, a career opportunity, or on the other end, partners or equity or anything of that nature, right? The spectrum that we're talking about is really big, but a lot of these topics really do apply. And so what I'm thinking about is what I've told, and it sounds very weird, but it's just my attempt to be as transparent as possible about what's happening here. And maybe it's counterintuitive, but I like it, frankly. When we talk to those 16, 17-year-olds, it's, hey, the harder you work, the richer I get. And they're like, what? They're like, sir, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm serious. Like, the harder you work, the richer I get. That's the truth. But you have to be okay with that if you want to work here, because that's the equation. You have to have the confidence that, yes, the company's going to gain from it, but you're going to gain from the company what you need to continue to grow in your life. And so we follow that also up with, in that position, in that capacity, we understand that we're stepping stones for a lot of people. You might be here for 3 months. You might be here for 3 years. If you're here for 3 years, we're expecting you to move up. If you're here for 3 months, hey, go finish your schooling, go to the next job, go do something amazing, right? So we understand at that position that we're a stepping stone, and we want people to take away, like you said, life currency, and apply that in their lives. And while they're here, we want them to work hard and enjoy who they're doing it with and for.
Because that analogy also swaps, right? Because there's a lot of people who've been here for 30 years.
Yeah.
And they started as a cashier in one of those rotation-based kind of jobs, right? At entry level. So, I mean, it's vice versa. So, yes, 100%. You can be a stepping stone, but it can be a stepping stone for you as an individual.
100%, right? And it's important for us to see that. Now, I get it. When you're a manager of one restaurant and your shift is got to get done the next day, and you're putting someone on a schedule, yes, these decisions get really hard. But that's why we talk about working in the business and on the business. Then you have to stop and say, what am I doing in my recruiting process? What am I doing in my evaluation process? And how can I help these individuals? But that's something I say. But it applies to the GM. The GM gets a bonus if the team works harder, right? So the reason I start with that is not to always have that top of mind. It's to drive the point that I'm hiring you. You need to hire me just as much. You need to feel good. You need to care about my success just as much as I care about your success, right? And so we say that there, but then on the other side of the spectrum, yeah, we talk about wanting the company to be successful, right? And we talk about non-negotiables, like think like an owner, act like an owner, things of that nature. And people always think that it's in our and I get it. If you're not here, if you're not experiencing on a daily basis, I can see why people think this. There's a lot of businesses that reflect the other qualities, not the ones that we're talking about. But people assume that these are selfish strategies, right? Like, oh, this is how. No, man, it's genuine. It's really like, if you can learn this and then go build something great, go do it. We would celebrate that. We would love that. We love hearing those stories, frankly. It's awesome. And we do get the calls. Now, I will admit, they always call Robert, which I love. But they call Robert and, Robert, I'm now doing this, or hey, I started my own business, or hey, I'm doing this and I think of y'all often. Dude, that just feels amazing. That feels amazing.
That's a life currency working.
Yeah, man, and it feels really good. And so the hiring, it goes both ways, and I use some of those just to make sure that we drive that point. And I never finished the topic on the back end, but anytime you're evaluating someone, ask them how you're doing. How can you do better for them? A lot of people forget that. We forget that, hey, I'm here, I'm the leader telling you what to do. This is your plan of action. This is what I expect. Okay, great. Now stop and ask them, what can I do better? What
How can I help you?
Yeah, how can I help you, right? And I think that's really what starts to propel companies forward, are those little dynamics when you start to sprinkle those in. I frankly love seeing leaders that, and it's no fault to them, but if you've never heard this before, you're just not going to do it. You think you're doing a good job.
The word evaluation is misleading in itself, right? So,
yeah.
And when you're not guided or mentored to do that at a proper level, you're just going to go straight for the report card.
Yeah. So I don't even know this one. I'm not even coining it. I've never heard it anywhere, but I'm not coining it because I don't think it describes it exactly. But I use it all the time. It's 360 evaluation, right? So it's literally, it has to go full circle. I don't know where I came up with it. It's just like a visual representation of what I tried to remind myself when we're going through evaluations. But if you're not asking the individual, how am I doing? What can I do better for you to be successful? You're missing the whole point. Like you're missing a huge opportunity. One, how are you supposed to grow? Like, are you just going to wait for you to be evaluated? No, take every opportunity you can get. This is a great opportunity for you to grow and to be able to hear what they think is hard, what they think is great, what they think is working. You can hear what they believe success looks like, and see how we're doing, because we also go through phases, right? And so I think that's very important, and that's probably the second bucket there. The next bucket that I wanna touch on, it's a lot of people get fearful, and I understand business is scary, decisions are scary. We have advocated for, and I think you've seen it firsthand, John, but don't have a scarcity mindset when it comes to people and livelihoods, largely because two reasons. One, if you can't find people, that's probably a reflection of yourself, not the workforce. There are a lot of people in most cities. Now, granted, if you live in a city, because it does happen, of 700 people, and of those 700 people, only half of them are male, and of those half, there's only a certain amount that are, a certain age, and you go at it that way. Oh, okay, maybe you can start throwing in these things. But in large part, people live around a lot of people. And when you add that perspective, and then you add that your job is to not only hire A+ players, your job is to figure out the ability of how to take a C player and make him an A player. That's the whole job. That's literally what it's for. That's what gives you purpose. That's what starts to drive you and starts to make sense of life. If not, you're just going to be some hungry, greedy business guy, and nobody likes those guys. You need to have purpose. This is important. And so the reason I bring that up, John, is because I'm very big on this. It's my biggest fault, I would say. But I do it anyways, and I'm gonna learn how to do it better. I'm gonna mature one day. I share too much, and I try to paint a vision for individuals, and I harp on it almost too much. I need to have a better regulator of when does the information start to become, I'd say negative EV, but it's if it's just too much information, how much are they going to actually retain, right? I don't know why negative EV is that used in finance. I don't know. Negative equity value, but that's like a weird term. I think it's a poker term actually. What am I trying to say when you
I don't know.
It's
I haven't heard that one before.
counterproductive, whatever you want to call it.
I see what you. I know what you mean. Yeah.
It's just too much, right? At some point, it starts to not
Harm
be
versus
as
help.
effective.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? But let me get to the point of what I'm talking about. Paint the career path and be very transparent and honest about that. Like, I really think it's important for you to say, hey, this is the position that the company has designed. This is the pay scale for the position. This is what the company feels based on the market, because we went out there and looked at what the market pays for this type of stuff. And then we assessed that not only on the market, but on the company's needs. And we came up with a pay scale because we're trying to be responsible individuals. And that's a guide for us. And therefore, I'm going to share that guide with you because you're the individual that's coming into this position. And now that you're in this position, I need to explain to you where you're at on that pay scale. Are you at year 1? Okay, you're probably going to be closer to the bottom of the pay scale. Are you at year 10 and this is your first year here? You're probably going to be closer to the top of the pay scale, right? But adding that clarity of the position and a potential pay scale, and I always say it's a guide because there are absolutely times where pay scale doesn't matter. I think if you find the right person, you need to do everything in both of y'all's powers to make the relationship work, because the right person will make a bigger impact than any type of budget that you put in place. But that's at the position, right? So we're talking about just a position in the pay scale. Then what else? How is this person looking at their career? Where do they want to go? Like, I think that's all part of the hiring process. Granted, if you're hiring somebody at an hourly level and an entry level job, these decisions can be, or these discussions can be a lot quicker. Yeah. Hey, are you here to work for the summer? Right? Are you here to work for a year? Hey, do you have reliable transportation? Hey, are you going to college next year? Are you going to stay here? It's that type of stuff. You get it, right? But when you work with highly capable individuals, you have to paint that career and you have to ask, like, hey, this is the position we're hiring for. This is where we think you can excel at. And that person, hopefully, if they're the right person, is going to ask you, is there upward opportunity? And where else can I potentially offer value to the company, right? And that's another little thing I'll just drop. Like, a lot of people ask, how can I get a raise? Mm-hmm. But don't ask how I can get a raise, guys. It's just not effective. Ask, how can I provide more value? Because let me tell you why. If I can provide more value, then you're going to get a raise. And if you don't get a raise, leave the company, because they don't know how to assess value and compensate for value, right? So that's just a little bit of a flip on the other side. So let's get back to the discussion. But after that position that they're applying for, you want to paint, okay, is there upward opportunity, right? In that same vertical, meaning that same skill set. Is there a larger team that you can manage, etc.? The same KPIs, the same metrics? Or is there lateral opportunity, right? We just had somebody get a lateral promotion, which I'm super excited about. I think he's going to do great. But perhaps it's not a vertical in that same focus. Maybe it's now you're looking at different departments and you have more lateral responsibility, right? Not just more people under you. More people under you, let me just make sure I'm driving this point, but if you manage a restaurant and then you manage 7 restaurants and then you manage 5 people that all manage 7 restaurants, that's all very vertically aligned. Yes, there's different skill sets, but largely the KPIs are very similar. They start to change, but they're geared towards restaurant performance. In the case that I'm talking about is maybe you're overseeing a department that does a specific task, for example, technology, and then you expand that to say, okay, now I'm going to oversee technology and facilities, or technology facilities and accounting, or and you start to manage people and systems and ideas versus just a department, right? And hard tasks. But yeah, it's really important for you to paint that career path. And so I don't want to belabor the topic, but if you don't give people that vision, where are they going? Where are you going? I can't stand when people lead people in the dark. I mean, it literally is
Clarity is
like,
needed, especially if you want to provide more value.
yes,
You need
yes. And if you can't provide the clarity, say, I'm going to figure this out. Once I have it, you will be the first to know, right? Let me think about this. I thank you for bringing it up. Maybe you didn't even think about it. If you're hiring the right person, they're going to challenge you and start to make you think of things that you didn't even think about. So then you say, good point. Let me work on this, and then go work on it and provide that clarity. But really important that you paint that career path. It's a horrible feeling to get led through the dark.
Yeah,
I mean,
not knowing is limbo is a weird place.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know how healthy a company is. If they're not telling you, you do not know. Big companies can be very unhealthy. They can be I've seen it time and time again. People work at large companies and they're like, oh yeah, this is awesome. And salespeople, sales commission, dude, one day to the next, oh, by the way, we're not selling this product anymore. Or, oh, by the way, we sold this division, or we sold this book of business, and it's an email, and it gets there and says, you have until the end of the day to pull out all your stuff.
Very cold. Yeah.
Very cold. Or your compensation gets cut by 25% because there's a shift in the industry. The product we were providing our consumers is no longer a market for.
Or we can't get a piece.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Like, so.
Hint, hint, VRAM.
What's that?
VRAM, nothing. It's still the I'm dealing with.
Oh, okay.
The RAM stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Here, now I connected the dots. But those things hurt. That hurts. So it's important to try to give clarity and at least to try to do your best at providing that clarity in that career path and that vision. So enough about that. But in simple terms, where am I at today? What are the next steps in this position, or where can I go? What skills do I need? I think that's very important. Make sure you ask those questions. What does success look like? I love that question. In 1 year, what does success look like? And I think if you hire the right person, they're going to answer that in a very honest way. If they come roaring that it's all going to be rainbows and sunshines in 1 year, might not be the right person. Right?
How do you feel about setting expectations and evaluations?
I think it's critically important. I think
being clear about expectations, 100%.
Yeah, I think it's very, very important. We talk about a plan of action. Mm-hmm. It's really not my favorite word to use. I think it just rolled up from the restaurants. But basically, this is what I like that you're doing. This is what you need to stop doing. And this is what you need to start doing. Do you agree? If you did all these things, do you believe you'll be more successful? Yes. Go do them. Okay. You know, just that simple, right? And so I think it's critically important to have expectations.
Agreed.
Lastly, on that, before we move on to a different topic regarding feedback, is pay. Pay is super important. Not all pay is the same. I think that we sometimes confuse the size of a company to how much pay I can provide. And I don't want to get too abstract about this, but start with monetary, right? And then start with, is this a W-2 income? Is this W-2 income base salary plus bonus? Are there any incentives, right? We talk about the capability model. Hire people, train people, then systematize the incentives. Like, that's very important. And so pay is very interesting. And I think that a lot of people underestimate how creative you can be with pay, mm-hmm. and how much it's appreciated. Because you can pay people in little things, you know? I mean, and I'm not trying to say buy people's loyalty. That's not what I'm saying. But there are things that people value and it can be drastically different than the person standing next to them. And you have to talk to them and ask them, what do they value? Do they value their time? You know, maybe somebody that's doing a super great job would just love if they could get a week off.
A little more family time, yeah.
Yeah, maybe they have little kiddos at home,
Yeah.
right? Okay, take that family time. Maybe the next person says, dude, I don't have children. I have mountains of debt. I value money. Okay, here, let's talk about money. Let's talk about bonuses, right?
And it can be a bonus, it can be a pay raise, but I mean, a lot of people won't see a pay raise for a while.
Yeah.
Even if you
Now I will say, if that person's in mountains of debt, you make sure they don't manage anything that has to do with money in the company.
probably true. Yeah.
So that's something that is pretty obvious, but sometimes we overlook. But yeah, what I'm saying is, like, there's different ways to compensate people, and it's our job to figure out and ask and engage in those conversations. What do you value, and then try to align that incentive. I think people underestimate that. Maybe in a later video, John, we'll do stuff that we're figuring out right now, which I love. We're looking at, I've thrown it around a couple times, so I'm just going to mention it, but this is more of a discussion because I don't know it fully. But did I ask you about phantom equity?
Yeah, we've talked about it.
Okay, yeah. So phantom equity is kind of interesting. I like it for a lot of reasons. It eliminates the complexities in the day-to-day business and the legal side today, but it gives people, in particular structures, it gives people a potential equity payout.
At a liquidity event?
Yeah, at a liquidity event, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's triggers, right? And so I really like that, and I'm exploring more of that. There's also real equity. There's also profit share. That's not equity, but it's literally a share of profits. There's so many, guys. So just remember that pay can be very creative.
There's always a way.
Yeah, I agree. And figure it out. If y'all both like each other and want to work together, figure it out. You know, like it's, yeah, I don't know. I'm a big believer in putting in the effort if it's the right person. Okay. Feedback. Let me say this about feedback. And I know we're making a video. It's gonna sound hypocritical at times. I expect our peers to hold us accountable just as much as we're holding them accountable. But we do this, I think, particularly myself. I do this constantly, right? But what I'm gonna say is, the best way I could describe it is, when you're giving feedback, allow yourself an allotted time to not go past a certain point. But within that allotted time, evaluation should not be done on a time base. This is something that I learned, I don't know, maybe like, I would say it's less than 10 years, 8 years, 7 years. Don't do things on a time base, because then you're now starting you're dictating the pace of progress in the company based on a policy.
True. Something we still sort of do, but we need to figure out how to move past.
Well, we give ourselves that parameter. Right?
Yeah, we're giving ourselves a quarter or 90 days, whatever it might be. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. It's something that we want to shrink down. And as you gear more towards performance, just think about it. If you put a policy in place and say, we evaluate you once a year, don't ask me any questions. Okay, great. But that means that the company's only going to move as fast as the policy lets it. If you change that to, we evaluate you based on performance, and once you achieve in a responsible way what was outlined for you, that could be 90 days. Then we're going to evaluate you again. It's that simple. If you laid out, you talked about expectations. If you laid out those expectations and somebody's doing those,
and
why are you gonna wait? Why are you gonna wait 9 more months?
No, there's no reason.
There's no reason. Go give them more clarity, right? Jump back in there, and that's how companies start to move very fast.
Yeah,
I loved it, and maybe we can look this up, John. But the I think it was Netflix. This one's very interesting. It's very intense, but I kind of like it for certain situations. Try to look up like systematized performance evaluations, and it was like something like the bottom 20% just fires himself. Have you heard about that, or have you seen that? It's basically they have KPIs, and out of the performance field, the bottom 20% that didn't hit their KPIs just let themselves go.
Really?
Yeah, I want to say it was Netflix. Let's see if there's anything
Let's see what it brings up.
about tolerant, firing themselves. I don't know if it was Netflix. I'm probably getting it all mixed up, but the concept makes sense. Let's just say if you took just a super aggressive approach to KPIs.
The GE model, rank and yank, cut the bottom 10%. Let's see.
Well, I've always heard that because it's a very good strategy about growing, but I was just looking for exactly the evaluations. I don't see it, right?
No.
I may be mixing two topics up. This is the real mechanism, and it's more interesting than a quota. I don't know. I'm so blind. I can't read that. Oh, there you go.
Let's see. Yeah, it's not landing here.
Yeah, it's a good growth strategy. We do it with restaurants, right? Bottom 10%.
Yeah.
We're starting to look at those markets and say, do we feel that we should either sell or close these restaurants and add a stronger restaurant in a different market, right? So you basically just take the bottom and add to the top, bottom and add to the top, and that's how you go. I thought I had read something like that where it was so rigid, everybody understood when they got hired that these are your KPIs. And basically, the bottom 20% just walked out the door.
Interesting. I'll do a little more research while you're talking about
that's intense. Now, I'm not advocating for that, but if everyone's in agreement and people want to do that, I mean, you talk about competition, man. That's intense.
That's like, putting the ball in your own court.
Yeah. Hey, it makes sense for some businesses and some people. I'm not here to judge. It's interesting.
It's called a rank and yank, or vitality curve. Yeah, really interesting.
That'd be wild, right? Yeah, I mean, if you got it and people agree, then why not? Okay, feedback. So I think that the performance thing is the first thing I want to say, and then the second thing, just to keep it short, is feedback is not punishment. Don't take feedback as punishment. This is clarity. This is somebody that cares about you and somebody that wants you to grow. It's important that we give feedback not as judgment, we give it as empowerment, and that we're genuinely vested in people's growth, not only because there's a positive impact in the company, but because it's about something bigger and it's about impacting people's lives. And ultimately, if that person learns something from you or learns something because of the environment that they're in, how cool is that? I think it's pretty cool, frankly, but you decide for yourself. Okay, getting to the end here, I think, well, maybe, we'll see. What do you think, John, about, what's your experience about confidence versus control? What does that make you think about? Maybe even start with yourself. Sorry.
Confidence in your leadership skills and your ability to wrangle the troops and provide feedback to them that allows them to give themselves their own ownership mentality over their work. And I think you're in a good spot. I think if you have too much control, I think you're losing your confidence in yourself and all of the things that I just said, right? Because then you just don't have confidence in your team, and then you're just letting everything kind of get balled up into, I need to manage all risk myself and not allow my team to mess up and fix any situations that might have gone awry, right? Because I think you're removing a lot of the learning experience from your team if you're just trying to take on all the risk and have full control and micromanage every single day-to-day task. Those are kind of the thoughts that immediately hit my brain when you say something like that. Yeah.
You know what my favorite part is when you hold on to something and you're like, nobody can do this. I got to do it. I'm
Yeah.
scared.
No.
I'm controlling it. And then you finally get the willpower to delegate it.
Yeah.
And that person just does it way better than you.
It's an amazing moment when you finally like come to terms with, I am not the best at doing everything.
Yes, correct.
And there is always somebody who can do that better.
And
I think
even
that
if
makes
you
a better
were,
leader.
even if you were, you can't do it all.
No.
It's impossible.
Yeah, no.
It's impossible. So yeah, I love that feeling where it's definitely a pinch yourself feeling.
Well, a good leader is a sort of jack of all trades, but if you're good at everything, you're not great at one thing, right?
Yeah.
So I think focusing a lot of those individual efforts on people that are great at those one things is where a leader really starts shining.
Yeah, that goes to that mile wide versus a mile deep. You
Exactly.
know, it's very interesting. So yeah, the confidence piece. I think we ebb and flow. We talk about the capability model a lot, and under the capability model here, we have a arrow that points backwards, and we call it the slide. Right? We understand that life happens, right? So you might be growing, you might be in a critical position, then you're in an inconsistent position, now you're operating at standard, now you're really excellent, and oh my gosh, I'm outstanding. And then guess what? My kid's struggling. I don't know how to get him to go to college. I'm life is happening, it's tough or whatever. Now my focus is at home, and I start to slide backwards. Should that person be automatically punished? I don't think so. I think if they're aware of the situation, they're aware of them sliding, and they get back on the horse because they address, if they build at home, they build in the company the same way. They're aware of the slide. So we put beware of the slide. It happens to all of us.
Lead with the unaware versus leading with having a decision in your head, right? So like, you're really good at this. You ask this all the time. How are you doing? Versus why aren't you doing this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think starting with that question, we've had leadership meetings before where we didn't talk about work at all.
Yeah.
So it just goes down to, as someone in a leadership position and having a team underneath you, you need to be aware that they're humans and
It's
life
super
comes
important.
at you fast.
It's super important. You wanna strip all of that out. Okay, you're gonna go super fast and then crash.
Yeah.
Just the nature of the game. I'm not saying that a bunch of people can't get together and say, hey, we want to build $1 billion company, and in 24 months we're going to exit. Okay, that environment's going to be crazy for 24 months.
Yeah.
But try to do that for 10 years. It ain't going to work. Go talk to the billionaires. I'm positive. Go talk to Binance. Go talk to anybody that's built a company like that. They can't sustain that for 15, 20 years. It's just not, it's physically taxing. It's emotionally taxing. It taxes all the people around you and your relationships. It weighs on you. You can't. So that's not what we're trying to build here. We're trying to build things that last and businesses that last, and we're trying to be good people along the way. So yeah, I lost my train of thought a little bit because I went on a deal there, but the confidence piece, I think it's just test the empowerment. There's things that you can empower with, and there's things that perhaps maybe shouldn't be empowered because then you're really bringing risk to the company, right? If you have a $1 million lead, you probably don't need to empower the newest guy to go close on that. Maybe you should just go do that yourself, right? But there's a lot of tasks that you can empower with and start to gain that confidence. And then you're going to gain the confidence in yourself to empower them, right? And so in going back to the evaluations, don't try to control the situation. Try to be in control. Try to be positive and in control. Don't try to control the situation. You want to lead with confidence, and you want to engage in actual conversation that's effective, and so that y'all can both get on the same page and start to grow. So it goes back to that book, man. This was honestly, if I'm being honest, this was probably one of the first self-help books in my whole entire life that I read, and it was Leaders Create Other Leaders. Who wrote that book? Let's see.
You got it.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it. Leaders Create Other Leaders. What book is that? Maybe John C. Maxwell? I don't know. That guy's been cranking out leadership stuff for 50 years, dude. That guy's got to be the best leader in the world, dude. Let's see. I'm so bad at searching sometimes. Leaders create other leaders. Yeah, maybe it was. Everything's coming up as John C. Maxwell, so maybe, and that would make sense because that guy's been writing books forever. Pretty cool stuff. Yeah, man. There's a lot of different things. That's what I like. Is like everything you learn, and companies go through different phases, and I feel like as leaders go through different phases, the company feels those different phases, and so I don't know. It's a beautiful thing. It's a living and breathing thing. That's one of the biggest things I learned from Kai. That
I was about to mention something like that.
The entity piece, when he talked about entities and he talked about how it was a living, breathing thing, that made me start to operate in a more fluid way than try to be so rigid with things, because it really is. It's, you can see it living and breathing, and the company goes through different phases, and so it's kind of neat. But anyways,
Kai is a big proponent of the leaders creating other
good
leaders.
morning.
Good morning. Yeah,
Yeah,
literally.
y'all don't know Kai, right?
No.
Y'all didn't meet Kai. We had he was an incredible leader. Well, that's debatable.
He was a great mentor.
He was a great mentor. That's a good point. He was not an incredible leader for some people because he couldn't get people to follow. Like, it could not follow, but
You just had to be on the
to
same
believe.
wavelength.
Yeah,
which
you had
is
to be
hard.
very hard. Yeah, very hard.
Very hard.
Anyways, R.I.P. Kai. We talk about Kai a lot because he impacted our lives, but Kai was a German individual, and he would always walk into our office every morning and be, good morning, and everyone would be like, oh shit, he's here. He was very intense, very intense. So it was cool. It was very cool. Yeah, let's get back on track here. So you just mentioned this, and this is actually my next bullet point. Thanks for mentioning it. But yeah, look beyond performance, right? I think it's important that we understand that there's qualities. Happy people are productive people. So look beyond the performance, because there's something deeper that's inspiring performance, or the lack of, for that matter. So are they growing? Ask people how they're doing. Ask people how they're feeling. Don't be dumb. Like, we're people at the end of the day. We've got to understand how people are doing. If you don't want to be vested in people, don't be a leader. It's that straightforward.
100%. Absolutely.
Do people own their own mistakes? Right? Do they make those people around them better? Right? I've had scenarios where you're like, dude, this person is a freaking rock star, but they're just toxic for everybody around them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really tough. That's really tough to deal with, because it's a double-edged sword, right? And so that's really tough. And then ask yourself if you would hire this person again, right? And I think that's when you look beyond performance of just the job, you will start to understand the individual better, and ask them to do that for yourself, going back to 360 evaluations. And that's when this can start to get really productive. Whew, a lot of information today.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
It's a hard topic for a lot of people to talk about too. But it's wildly important. I mean, it's the base of a company, right? The company is a group of people. How you manage that group of people. One
day we're gonna create systems around a lot of this, because that's something that when I self-reflect, I feel we have the knowledge base. I feel we have a lot of what it's going to take to continue to grow. I can see that in order to implement it and manage it, we need to systematize it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's interesting. I don't know. We do need to go back and look at a lot of this and see how can we systematize it. But it's a very fine line, because if you just focus on systems and building everything out, I think you miss that nuance of just being present and being making good decisions, right? And investing in good people.
Working.
Yeah, it depends what your goal is, right? We talked about this in the last video, I think, or maybe the one before that. But if you're looking at something that's investable, Meaning, if you're building a company that's going to exit, or you're building a company that you want investors, then you certainly have to work on systems more, right? Even your evaluations, even your culture, even hospitality, you have to systematize it, because people aren't going to put money into things that are just solely on one person's back, or two people's back, or five people's back. And so it just really depends on what your goals are. But at the end of the day, we don't evaluate people because we're looking for reasons to judge them or keep them out. We're really looking to empower people. We're really looking to grow people. And so it's vitally important that you keep that top of mind. And I think that people underestimate how aggressive you can be with that. Obviously, it does come at a cost. But if you can get the other individual to say and admit things like, hey, this is a little bit too much growth, this is a little too much responsibility, or pushback, or get them to start feeling empowered, you can really start to move things a lot quicker. And so it does come with risk. But if you give a clear path and you coach them often, we talked about coaching, mentoring, developing a lot. It starts to become part of what you do day in and day out. And I really think that that's a pretty neat philosophy. For me, it's created a lot of purpose in my life, John, to be honest. It's tough. Let me mention this too, because on the purpose side, it's very easy to get caught up in this. But my mom's really good at this, by the way. Shout out my mom for coming on the pod. That was fun.
That was really fun.
Yeah, that was cool.
She did so good.
She did. Yeah, I was happy about that. Sometimes we get the reason why she's good at this, one, because of kind of her personality and what she brings to the table, but two, because she purposely sits in a position that is not vested in the day-to-day.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're vested in the day-to-day, it's so easy to get hung up on one person.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll remind that, hey, I'm sorry, you can't get the result that you're looking for with that person. But would you rather fail with that one person, or would you rather fail the other 100 people because you're focused on that one person?
That's a great point.
Right. And it's really, when she asks you that, you're just like, oh shit, this is a tough question, right? Because we do, as leaders, we get so invested in people, and you want people to perform well. But you sacrifice everyone else that you're not investing time in, right? And so anyways, hire the right people, build trust, show the path, show them clear path, coach and mentor constantly, lead with confidence, and measure growth. Growth is fun, man. It's not all about progress. I think people sometimes get that confused. It's like, growth to me is purposeful and it's integral, but it's not necessary. Like, to me, I don't know. That gets real philosophical. Like, do you believe that growth and progress is integral to life? Well, not integral, because I think it is integral. Is it the most important thing?
No, definitely not the most important thing.
It's not.
Definitely not the most important thing. I think we get lost in the sauce as humans when it comes to growth and progress. I don't think it's necessarily integral to life. I think it's just something that we found as our I don't know, God-given skill and ability. What makes us different. So
well, to me, it's real simple. But when you focus on growth for yourself and for others, and you growing other people, you're giving more than you're taking. Right? You're growing yourself so that you can provide for your family, for your people around you, and you're able to give more. If I grow as a leader, if I grow mentally and emotionally, I'm going to be able to give more. If I grow those around me, I'm investing in them and I'm giving more than taking from them. A lot of people take, and I think that's an equation of happiness. And I respect people that are willing to create more than they take. Right? So I think that at the essence that's important. But yeah, the reason I asked the question is because there's a lot of it's still happiness. Like, it's got to be love and happiness, right? Like, and the simplicity in that. I guess what I'm is maybe it's counterproductive because this is a business channel, et cetera, et cetera. But no, I'm happy to talk about it. We want to grow, and we're very clear about that. We are growing, and these are tactics on how to grow. But if you start to prioritize growth over everything, I think you're going to make some really big mistakes. So
Agreed.
Anyways, best of luck out there hiring and evaluating people. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode of Pillar Mindset. Thank you, John, for joining today.
Always.
That's all I got. See you later.
Adios.
This is the real talk on what's working, what's failing, and what it takes to win in the restaurant industry. Welcome to Pillar Mindset.